there, babe.
How's everybody doing this afternoon?
Awesome.
Yes. Good. So I'm going to talk to you today about continual process improvement for business. And what we're going to go over is how to improve your everyday business processes. So has anybody ever thought about when you're doing a process and
Yes.
you're like, can I improve this for some way?
Yes.
Yes. So what would you improve? Is there anything specific that you would improve?
Like specifically in regards to a certain process,
Right.
or I mean, there's always room for improvement, I think.
Okay. So there's always something that you can do to improve something, whether it's a little adjustment here and there. So process improvement is a proactive task. So it's something you have to actively think about and you have to actively analyze with new and existing processes. So it's something that you can do in your everyday life or your business life. Six Sigma is one of those guidelines and tools for process improvement. It was founded by Bill Smith. He's considered the father of Six Sigma. He's based on processes he developed for Motorola. So it's kind of interesting how that works. Also, Toyota uses Six Sigma a lot in their processes after World War II. It was something that got them going in the automotive industry. So there are different approaches to process improvement. So process improvement is designed to optimize and improve. You can do many improvements to the product that you're selling. So in our case, we're doing recruitment services. So is there anything about recruitment services that you can improve the product that you're delivering for your customer? So it's rooted in scientific methods. So there is measurements in certain data sets. So you can look at your data, you can look on your volume and stuff like that. So it is a scientific method and it's based on knowledge. So many organizations invest heavily into process improvement. In fact, we got our own process improvement team that come in and analyze our processes, seeing if we're faulty in any way and how we can improve them. So, and it is completely customer and client focused, but it also requires teamwork. And what I mean by teamwork is that we all have to work together. So not only does it improve your situation, but also improves your relationship with your customer. So the approaches of Six Sigma is that it assists in identifying the problem areas in your processes and adding to improving them. So when you look at your process, is there any way that you can do this better? Is there any way that is a faulty in your process? So it's just something to look at and take into account. It also recognizes that everything is unique. It's not identical. It is very a living, breathing thing. Each process is its own animal. So it also, when you're doing these in process improvements, you're also retaining your customers and you're developing loyalty. So if you're looking at your processes and you're informing your customer, I think that there's a better way we can do this by doing X, Y, and Z, it shows that you care about what you're doing and how you're approaching their livelihood, so their business. So it also creates time management for your employees, so it helps improve how your employees work, and it also assists in reaching growth goals. So if you want to grow in your position, if you look at your processes and you approach your manager and say, I have an idea. They might not like your idea, but at least you had an idea about what you think could be improving. Any questions so far? Good.
This Six Sigma, is that like something you can get
Yes.
like a certificate for, or
That's a certification.
There's several colleges that
like black?
yeah,
Is
you
it
get
black belt?
it's black belt. Yeah,
They have a
there's-
green belt too, right?
yeah, they have different levels of belts, kind of like karate. So you can actually go. Vanderbilt has an extensive program on it. I know UC Berkeley has a really nice program, but it is costly. You're looking at like $1,500 for the certification from UC Berkeley, and it's even higher from Vanderbilt because they're considered expert. So
Do you know if IBM covers reimbursement for that?
they can, and it depends on what you want to get done, and you'd have to talk to Lakita regarding that and see what she can get done and getting it approved.
I.e. Marks, but I'm just kidding.
So there are ways that you could continue to grow as an organization and as an individual to move up there. So if you want to do that, I'd definitely investigate it. There's many classes out there that you can look So the overview of approaches is that we're looking at business improvement. We're looking at remediation of defects and vulnerabilities. So remediation means is that we're identifying it and we're coming up with a plan to for corrective action and identifying the vulnerabilities, you know, especially if you're dealing with finances. I know for here, we don't deal with a lot of financial situations, but it is very good to identify those. It's also cost reducing. If you can eliminate or automate anything, it also reduces the amount of cost. Time reduction. Everybody thinks their time is valuable, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if you have more time to focus on your actual customer interaction instead of basically submerging yourself into paperwork or tracking or in your Excel documents, and you're not focusing on what you need to be doing, which is your customer interaction. So it also increases your customer satisfaction and employee production, which we've already went over. So the more time you dedicate to your customer, the more satisfied they're gonna be with you. So Six Sigma has two methodologies that we're gonna cover. DMADD, it's a weird abbreviation, but this is mainly for new processes. They want you to look at your process. They want you to define your overall goal. They want you to look and see what you're trying to copy it. They also want to know, can you measure it? Can you measure your process and see if you're improving? And then you got to be able to analyze the measurement. So, and then you design your process and then you verify it. You take the process owner, you say, this is what I've designed for you. I want you to walk through it. I want you to look at it. Is there anything wrong with this process? And they'll tell you right away whether or not it is wrong. And then you have to start the process all over. So you'll have to define, measure, analyze again if the process owner or the stakeholder is not very happy with the process. DMAIC is for existing processes. So onboarding, offboarding, and that kind of stuff. So if you want to look at an existing process, define what you're trying to improve. So if you're trying to improve a process, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to automate it? Are you trying to time save? Are you trying to add to the process? You need to actually define what you're looking for. Again, then you need to measure it. How am I going to measure this? How am I going to really baseline this and get it in motion? Analyze. Analyze the measurements and see where you're faulty. So if you have holes in your processes, you want to make sure that you try to figure out and improve it. Next thing is you want to control it. So once you've improved it, what controls do you need to put on it? What controls can you measure? So like if you need to get an approval, are you putting on a control? Are you coming back to see if that is happening? The conclusion is that new and existing process are living and breathing. So you actually need to take care of it. You can't let a process go on years and years and years and not have any development there. It has an owner and an operator. You can't leave them out. You got to actually take into account that somebody's executing this process, and you need to make it as easy for them as possible. And then the improvement can cost low, high, depending on what is needed. So, any questions regarding process improvement, Six Sigma, or anything like that?
I have a question.
Sure.
You mentioned that Six Sigma is client, customer focus.
Yes.
Could we be a client?
Yes, you are your own client. If you consider yourself a client of Mark, Mark pays you to do something. Mark's a client, so you want to make sure that your client is taken care of. How are you helping Mark better manage the team? How is Chastity, right? Helping you better manage your team. She's not. how, you know, in everyday situations, even in your household items, you can see, I go and get groceries, I need to get a better way to get it into the house. How are you gonna improve that? So everyday items have a process, not just business related. So if you approach everyday life as a business, then you can look at your processes and see how to fix things and make your life more efficient. Anybody else?
One more question.
Sure.
Processes that have, so that's saying, how can you update the process to make it more efficient?
Yes.
What if certain processes like require other steps, like before you can
Okay.
change it?
Okay, so, are you talking about the process belongs to another owner and you don't wanna change it, or?
You can't change it without like approval, or there's like a bunch of steps it has to go through before it can be updated to be more efficient.
Right.
How do you kind of work around that?
You can work around it, if the process belongs to somebody else, you can talk to the process owner and say, I have a few ideas regarding this.
Right.
You can work also up to a process improvement proposal, saying, this is what I've worked on, this is what I think, and I would really like to work with you on it if you think it's a good idea. So you can approach it very business-like and work up a proposal. You can approach them very casually, saying, is there a better way that we can do this, and I'd love to work on it with you. And you can create it like your own project.
It's kinda like when Amy puts together the correspondence for Taleo, it has to go through multiple layers of approval before it actually becomes a part of the new process.
Right.
So when you do that, are you telling them also why it's not working anymore? In terms of like the proposal, that you changed this into later, you have to tell them?
But I go to Mark and Lakita and say, hey, I feel like this will help the process, and I give them my business reasons as to why, and then we create it, and then I go to our client and say, I feel that this will help our process. Will you get it created? And then they send it off to the people.
Yeah, it works. You're pretty good at that. You got the Monday start thing.
Yeah, and you can also partner in your coworkers. So if you feel the need and you don't know how to get done, you can approach Amy and say, I have an idea, how do I get this done? So, and there's your growth opportunity.
Yep.
You have ideas, and you wanna make things happen, you wanna make things more efficient. And that says a lot about your personality and how much your job matters to you. That's good questions, very good. Any other questions? Any questions on Zoom? Okay, well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you letting me read my
Thanks,
presentation.
Jerry.
And I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks, Jared.
Yay.